Harper was just the maid in the Moretti mansion, curvy, quiet, invisible. The men called her the fat girl when they thought she couldn't hear. She thought no one would ever choose her. Then one night, in front of his entire crew, the most feared Mafia boss in New York wrapped an arm around her waist and said, "You're talking about my future wife." From that moment on, anyone who touched her didn't live long. The clatter of dishes echoed through the Moretti mansion's kitchen like distant thunder. Somewhere upstairs, men in suits argued in low, dangerous voices. Harper Lee Collins kept her head down and kept scrubbing. The scent of bleach burned her nose. She could hear laughter, male, sharp, careless, spilling from the dining hall where the boss entertained his guests. She'd been invisible in that house for 6 months. Invisible suited her fine. Except on nights like this, when her reflection caught the edge of the steel refrigerator, full length, unkind. Her curves looked rounder under the fluorescent light, her cheeks pink from heat, her blouse pulling at the buttons. She hated mirrors. They always reminded her what the world already decided. Pretty girls were thin. Maids were not. She didn't notice the shadow in the doorway. Harper sighed, muttering under her breath as she rinsed a plate. "No one marries a fat girl, sir. Men just hide her." A deep voice broke the air. "Who told you that?" She froze. Soap dripped from her fingers. She turned and saw him. Lorenzo Moretti stood in the doorway, black shirt rolled to the elbows, the sleeves hugging his forearms, tattoos peeking from under the fabric. His tie hung loose, a single button undone at his throat. He looked every inch the man the city feared. Beautiful, dangerous, expensive. Harper's heart stuttered. I didn't know anyone was there, sir. I was looking for a glass of water." His voice was rough velvet. "But I heard something else instead. It was nothing." She grabbed a towel, tried to busy her hands. "I just talk too much when I'm tired." He stepped inside. His shoes made no sound on the tile. "Don't lie to me, Harper." Her name on his lips sounded forbidden. "I wasn't," she whispered. "Just stating a fact." He came closer, enough that she could smell his cologne. Clean, faintly smoky, the kind that stayed in your mind after he left the room. "Facts," he said, "are supposed to be true. That one isn't." Harper swallowed hard. He was too close, too tall, too everything. She could feel the heat of him even without his touch. "I should finish the dishes," she managed. Lorenzo tilted his head. "Do they make you say things like that here?" "Like what?" "That you're not worth being married." Her eyes fell to the floor. "No one had to tell me, sir. People show you, every time they look away." For a second his expression softened, something dangerous in his stillness. Then voices erupted upstairs. A door slammed. Marco Vitale's bark of orders carried down the hallway. Lorenzo didn't flinch, but Harper did. "Go to your room," he said quietly. "It's late." "Yes, sir." She wiped her hands, trying not to meet his gaze. When she walked past him, he caught her wrist, not hard, just enough for her to stop. His thumb brushed the inside of her palm. "Don't ever say that again." "Say what?" "That no one would marry you." His eyes locked on hers. "You have no idea what kind of men exist." Then he let go. Upstairs, the Moretti men were arguing about a shipment gone wrong. Harper could hear fragments as she climbed the servants' stairs. Names, threats, the scrape of chairs. She closed her door and leaned against it, heart pounding. Why had he even cared what she said? Maybe he just hated weakness. Bosses like him didn't tolerate fragile things. She changed into her worn nightshirt, the one with tiny lavender flowers fading from too many washes, and sat on her narrow bed. Through the small window she could see the city lights blinking across the river. Somewhere out there, people laughed in restaurants, kissed under street lamps, belonged to someone. She'd never been anyone's someone. A knock startled her. "Harper?" It was Lydia, another maid, older, sharp-tongued, but kind underneath. "You scared me." Lydia poked her head in. "Everything okay?" "Heard the boss came down to the kitchen." Harper shrugged. "He wanted water." Lydia smirked. "Sure he did. Be careful, honey. Men like him don't look at girls like us unless they want something." He doesn't look at me, Harper said quickly. Trust me. Lydia's smile faded. Sweetheart, you've never seen yourself through a man's eyes. That's the problem. She patted Harper's shoulder and left. Harper lay back, staring at the ceiling. Men like Lorenzo Moretti dated models, actresses, women with perfect faces and zero body fat. They didn't talk to maids about marriage. But still, his voice echoed in her head. Don't ever say that again. The next morning was chaos. Rain hammered the glass roof of the atrium as men came and went carrying boxes. Lorenzo's mansion was part palace, part fortress. Everything gleamed except the parts with bullet holes, hidden behind paintings or expensive rugs. Harper moved silently between rooms, collecting empty glasses from the night before. She heard laughter again, Marco Vitale cracking jokes about the fat maid. Her stomach knotted. She kept her head down, tray in hand, but the laughter grew louder. Hey, sweetheart, Marco called, grinning. You drop something, I'll help you pick it up. If you can find it under... The words died as Lorenzo walked in. He didn't shout, didn't even raise his voice. He just looked at Marco, one single glance that made the air freeze. Finish that sentence, he said softly. Marco's smile vanished. Boss, I was just... Lorenzo crossed the space between them in 2 strides. He grabbed Marco by the collar and slammed him against the wall, crystal glass shattering on the floor. The tray slipped from Harper's hands. You don't talk about her, Lorenzo said, voice calm, deadly. You don't joke. You don't look. Jesus, boss, she's just... Say that again. The sound of metal clicked. Lorenzo's gun pressed lightly against Marco's ribs. You think I care if you've been with me 10 years? Touch her, you die. Silence. Only the rain outside. Harper stood frozen, heart in her throat. He was doing this, for her. Lorenzo finally let go. Marco gasped, stumbling away. Understood, the man whispered. Lorenzo turned toward Harper. You okay? She nodded, trembling. Yes, sir. Go to the pantry, he ordered quietly. I'll send someone to clean this. When she obeyed, he followed. Not close enough to trap her, but enough to make her feel his presence. He leaned against the door frame, watching her clutch the tray like a shield. Why would you do that? She asked, voice shaking. He works for you. He disrespected what's mine. The words hit her harder than the noise of the gun earlier. What do you mean? Lorenzo's eyes didn't waver. You heard me? You don't even know me. I know enough, he said. I know you don't deserve to be spoken to like that. Harper blinked fast. Sir, please don't. People will think. Let them think. His tone softened, but there was no doubt in it. You stay close to me until I say otherwise. She shook her head. I can't. You can. And you will. He stepped closer, lowering his voice. Harper, this house isn't safe for someone as kind as you. There are men who see a woman like you and think softness means weakness. They're wrong. She whispered, Why do you care? He stared at her for a long moment. Then, quietly, Because I notice things. Things like what? The way you hum when you clean. The way you make the coffee stronger than I ask because you know I haven't slept. The way you hide behind your apron when someone looks too long. Her eyes filled. Nobody's ever noticed that. I did. The world narrowed to the space between them. Rain hammered the windows. Thunder rolled somewhere above the Hudson. Lorenzo's hand lifted, hesitant, as if touching her might break something sacred. But then he stopped himself. Go rest, he said finally, voice tight. Tonight, you stay in the West Wing. My wing. Harper's breath caught. That's not appropriate. Neither is a man putting a hand on you. Pick one. I can't just sleep near you. I didn't say near. I said where I can watch you. She stared at him, cheeks burning. He wasn't joking. He wasn't flirting. He was protecting. Why? She whispered. He looked straight into her eyes, and for a second the mask dropped. Because he wanted her. Because he'd been wanting her for months and didn't know how to stop. Instead, he said, Because you're in this house, which means you're under me. And what's under me, I protect. That night, Harper lay awake in the West Wing room he'd ordered prepared for her. The sheets were silk. The room smelled faintly of him, leather, smoke, something darker. Outside, guards patrolled the grounds. She couldn't sleep. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw him standing in the kitchen doorway, the way his jaw had tightened when she called herself unworthy. A soft knock sounded. Her pulse jumped. "Come in?" Lorenzo stepped inside, jacket off, tie gone. The lamplight touched the scars on his forearm, the ink winding up to his elbow. "I wanted to be sure you felt safe," he said quietly. "I do." "Good." He paused, eyes flicking to the floor, then back to her. "You shouldn't believe everything the world tells you about yourself." "Easy for you to say," she murmured. "You're Lorenzo Moretti. People see you and think power. They see me and think pity." He came closer, stopping at the foot of her bed. "That's their mistake. Why are you saying these things to me?" Her voice was barely a whisper. "Because somebody needs to." He took a breath. "Who told you you're not the kind of woman a man marries?" Her throat tightened. "Everyone." For a heartbeat, he didn't move. Then his jaw flexed, slow and dangerous. "Then everyone's wrong." The room went silent except for the rain. He turned toward the door, but before leaving he looked back once, eyes dark. "Sleep, Harper. Tomorrow changes everything." She didn't know what he meant. She only knew one thing. The world had just shifted, and she was standing too close to the center. Tomorrow changes everything. The next morning smelled of rain and espresso. Harper woke in the unfamiliar silk sheets of the West Wing room, blinking at sunlight that filtered through heavy curtains. For a moment she forgot where she was. Then the memory of the night before came rushing back. Lorenzo Moretti, the kitchen, the way he'd said everyone's wrong. Her heart thudded. She sat up fast. The pillow smelled faintly of his cologne. A knock. "Miss Collins," a voice said through the door. "Breakfast in 15. The boss asked that you join him." She froze. "Join him?" "Yes, ma'am, in the dining hall." Downstairs, the mansion looked different in daylight. The chandeliers gleamed. The marble floors mirrored her nervous reflection. The guards were still there, but quieter, more formal. Harper could feel eyes following her as she walked. She wanted to disappear. Lorenzo was at the long table, sleeves rolled, phone to his ear. He glanced up when she entered. For a man who ran a criminal empire, he looked almost ordinary in the morning light. Just a man with dark hair, tired eyes, and coffee in front of him. He ended the call. "Sit." Harper hesitated. "Sir, Sit, Harper." His tone softened, but it wasn't a request. She sat at the far end of the table, hands in her lap. Silver platters held fruit, eggs, pastries. Too fancy for someone who usually ate toast in the staff kitchen. "I thought you'd want breakfast before work," he said. She shook her head. "I should be cleaning, not—" "You're not cleaning today." Her eyes snapped up. "Excuse me? You're staying on this side of the house." He sipped his coffee, calm. "With me?" "Sir, I don't understand." "You don't need to. Not yet." Marco Vitale entered, stopped short when he saw Harper at the table, and looked between them with a flicker of surprise. "Boss, Gallagher's men hit another warehouse last night. 2 injured." Lorenzo's expression didn't change. "Handle it." Marco nodded, but his eyes lingered on Harper. It wasn't disrespectful, just confused. When he left, Harper felt Lorenzo watching her again. "What's going on?" she asked quietly. He leaned back. "Gallagher's trying to find leverage. Last night one of his men slipped through the catering route. That's how the bastard got onto the property." Her breath caught. "The one you—" He nodded once. "Yeah, they were supposed to grab someone easy, someone I wouldn't notice missing." Realization hit her. "Me?" Lorenzo's jaw tightened. "Exactly. Which is why you're under my protection now." She stared. "Sir, that's not necessary." "It is. You think those men care if you're a maid?" They see an opening, they take it. His voice dropped lower. Not happening again. She tried to keep her voice steady. But everyone will talk. They can talk all they want. Nobody touches you. Her pulse jumped. They'll think I'm my problem. He smiled faintly. You are. Her throat went dry. Sir, say my name. He interrupted quietly. She blinked. What? My name. You keep calling me sir like you work in a hotel. It's respectful. It's distance. His gaze softened. Lorenzo. She swallowed hard. Lorenzo. The word felt dangerous on her tongue. Good. He rose, buttoning his jacket. Stay close today. Marco will show you where the guards can see you at all times. Do I even get a choice? Not today. He started to leave, then paused by her chair. And Harper, don't hide your face. They need to see who you are. By noon, gossip had already spread through the mansion. Lydia cornered her near the laundry hall. You and the boss, huh? There's no me and the boss, Harper said quickly. Lydia arched an eyebrow. Honey, he threatened Marco Vitale in front of half the crew. That means something. Harper shook her head. It means he's overprotective. It means he's a man, Lydia murmured. And you've got him looking twice. Harper tried to laugh, but her chest felt tight. Men like him don't look at girls like me. Lydia smiled sadly. Maybe that's what makes you dangerous. That afternoon, Harper brought Lorenzo a file from the office. She knocked, then stepped into his study. Dark wood, shelves of law books, and a city skyline beyond the glass. He was reading a document, pen tapping against his jaw. Come in, he said without looking up. Lock the door. Her fingers trembled as she obeyed. Everything okay? He nodded toward the window. There's a car parked across the street. Same one from last week. Gallagher's watching. Her stomach dropped. Should I? You should stay where I can see you. She stood awkwardly beside his desk. You really don't have to. He set the pen down and met her eyes. Harper, stop arguing with me. I just don't understand why you'd... He cut her off gently. Because you matter, and because I don't like the idea of someone else deciding that you don't. She looked away, cheeks burning. You don't even know me. He rose slowly from the chair. Then tell me. What? Tell me who you are when nobody's looking. She hesitated. I clean. I cook. I try to stay out of the way. That's what you do, he said softly. I asked who you are. Her throat tightened. Someone people overlook. Not anymore. He stopped in front of her, so close she could see the faint scar at his jawline. His voice was a low command. Look at me. She did. I notice everything, he said. The way you flinch when someone laughs too loud. The way you touch your wrist when you're nervous. You think I don't see that? You think I don't hear when you hum at night? Her eyes blurred. Why would you care? Because I do. He took her hand, just for a second, his thumb brushing her pulse. And I'm not going to apologize for it. The air between them crackled, something unspoken, electric, terrifying. She pulled her hand back before she forgot how to breathe. He let her go, but his gaze didn't move. You're under my protection now. You understand what that means? That I'm your responsibility. That you're mine, he corrected quietly. The day stretched long. By evening the storm had cleared, but the tension in the house hadn't. Lorenzo had gone to a meeting with his lieutenants, leaving Harper in the West Wing library with a guard at the door. She tried reading, but couldn't focus. When he returned, it was late. He found her asleep on the couch, a book open on her chest. For a man who dealt daily with blood and betrayal, the sight stopped him cold. He brushed a loose strand of hair from her face before she stirred. Her eyes fluttered open. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. Don't apologize. His voice was low. You're safe here. She sat up, embarrassed. I should go back to my room. This is your room, he said. Until I say otherwise. Why? She whispered. Because Gallagher won't stop until he learns you matter to me. His eyes darkened. So let's give him no doubt. She frowned. What does that mean? It means tomorrow you'll sit beside me at dinner, in front of everyone. She blinked. Sir, Lorenzo, I can't. I'm staff. Not anymore. They'll talk. Good. Let them. He turned to leave, but she caught his sleeve. Why are you doing this? He looked down at her hand on his arm, then up at her face. Because when a man like me decides to protect something, he doesn't half protect it. She whispered, People will think I'm sleeping with you. He smiled faintly. They can think you're my wife for all I care. Her breath hitched. You don't mean that. His gaze held hers. Watch me. That night Harper stood at the window long after he'd gone, the city lights flickering across her reflection. You're under my protection now. The words should have frightened her. Instead, they felt like a promise she didn't dare believe. Somewhere in the mansion, a clock chimed midnight. And Harper realized that whatever tomorrow brought, nothing between them would ever be simple again. The following morning came too bright, too loud, too fast. Harper barely slept. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw him, his hand brushing her hair, his voice saying, They can think you're my wife for all I care. She'd replayed those words 100 times, trying to decide if they were protection or something else entirely. Downstairs, the mansion buzzed with quiet tension. Lorenzo's men moved with purpose, checking phones, speaking in coded bursts. Something big was happening. Harper kept to the edge of the hallway, clutching a folded tablecloth against her chest like a shield. Miss Collins, Marco Vitale called from the stairwell, his tone softer than before. Boss wants you ready by 7. Ready for what? Marco scratched the back of his neck. Dinner, downtown. He didn't say more, just dress nice. Dinner? She repeated, frowning. Why would I? Because the boss said so, he cut in, smirking faintly. And you don't want to argue with him when he's in this mood. By evening, Harper stood in front of the mirror in her small room, staring at the woman reflected back. Lydia had helped her choose a simple black dress, nothing fancy, but it hugged her waist and softened her curves. She almost didn't recognize herself. Her hands trembled as she fastened the thin silver chain around her neck. She wasn't used to looking like this. She wasn't used to being seen. A soft knock at the door made her jump. When she opened it, Lorenzo was standing there. He'd changed from his usual dark shirts into a tailored black suit, crisp white collar, no tie. Dangerous elegance in human form. For a moment he didn't speak. His gaze swept over her, slow, deliberate, reverent. Then he said, Perfect. She flushed. You didn't tell me where we're going. You'll see. The car ride was quiet. Lorenzo drove himself, something he rarely did, while Marco followed in another vehicle behind them. Outside, the lights of Manhattan blurred past, neon reflections on wet pavement. Harper watched the city flash by and tried to calm her racing heart. He broke the silence first. You're nervous. She hesitated. You didn't tell me what kind of dinner this is. A business dinner. She exhaled. Then I shouldn't be there. I want you there. Why? His mouth curved slightly. Because people need to know what happens when they threaten something that's mine. She shook her head. You keep saying that. And you keep pretending you don't understand it. Her pulse stuttered. Lorenzo. He looked at her, eyes dark but gentle. Do you really think I'd risk my life for a maid I barely know? She turned toward the window. I think you like control. Maybe I do, he admitted, but this isn't about control. Then what is it about? He didn't answer. But his hand reached over, resting briefly on hers on the console. Warm, firm, grounding. The gesture said what words didn't. The restaurant was private, old brick and candlelight. The maitre d' nearly tripped over himself when he saw Lorenzo Moretti walk in. They were led to a secluded table in the back. Harper's stomach twisted with nerves. She could feel people staring. She leaned closer. Lorenzo, everyone's looking. Let them. The waiter poured wine. Harper clasped her hands to hide the tremor. You shouldn't have brought me here. He smiled faintly. You think I care what they say? I think you should. Harper. He leaned forward, elbows on the table. You think I live my life based on what polite society thinks? You think men like me get judged any less when we date models and actresses? They still call us criminals. At least with you, I know who I am. She blinked. And who's that? A man who finally has something worth protecting. Her throat tightened. She looked down, unable to meet his eyes. The waiter retreated. The world shrank to candlelight and heartbeats. Halfway through dinner, Harper excused herself to the restroom. She leaned over the sink, gripping the porcelain. Her reflection stared back, eyes wide, cheeks flushed, chest rising and falling too fast. What am I doing? She whispered to the mirror. The door opened. Vanessa Pierce walked in. Harper froze. Vanessa was stunning, the kind of woman magazine covers were built for. Tall, thin, perfectly composed. Her diamond earrings probably cost more than Harper's yearly salary. She looked at Harper's reflection and smiled without warmth. Well, Vanessa said smoothly, so you're the reason he canceled lunch. What? Vanessa's smile sharpened. Lorenzo. He was supposed to meet me today. Business, of course. Imagine my surprise when I found out he was dining here. With you. Harper's stomach turned. I think you're mistaken. Oh, sweetheart. Vanessa's voice dripped sugar and venom. You really think a man like him ends up with you? Harper's fingers gripped the counter. I don't think anything. I just work for him. Then keep it that way. Vanessa stepped closer, her perfume sharp and cold. Men like Lorenzo need women who look good on their arm, not girls hiding behind aprons. Harper couldn't breathe. The door clicked as Vanessa left, heels echoing down the hall. She stood there shaking, every cruel word slicing deeper than she wanted to admit. When she returned to the table, Lorenzo was scrolling through his phone, unaware. She sat silently, pushing food around her plate until he noticed. What happened? He asked. Nothing. Harper. His tone was gentle but firm. Just someone reminding me where I belong, she said softly. He frowned. Who? It doesn't matter. He reached across the table, tilting her chin up. It matters to me. Her eyes met his. You're supposed to be with women like her. He blinked. Who? Vanessa Pierce. His jaw flexed. Vanessa's a business deal, nothing more. She doesn't think so. He leaned forward, his voice turning steel. You think I'd trade you for politics? You shouldn't even compare us, she whispered. She's perfect. So are you, he said without hesitation. You just don't see it yet. Her breath hitched. You can't say things like that. Why not? Because I'll start to believe you. He smiled faintly. Good. Later that night they returned to the mansion. Harper stepped out of the car first, still shaken by Vanessa's words. Inside, the dining hall was lit for a smaller gathering, Lorenzo's inner circle. Marco, 2 other lieutenants and their wives sat at the long table. When Harper appeared beside Lorenzo, conversation stopped. Lorenzo didn't flinch. He pulled out a chair. Sit here. Harper hesitated. Sir, this isn't... Sit. His tone left no room for argument. She obeyed, aware of every pair of eyes on her. The men exchanged looks. Their wives whispered. Harper wanted the ground to swallow her whole. Lorenzo began speaking to his men about the warehouse attack, calm and commanding. But every few minutes his gaze drifted toward Harper, checking if she was eating, if she was comfortable. He poured her wine himself. No one missed it. After an hour, he stood. Before we finish business, he said, I want something clear. The room went silent. He placed a hand on Harper's shoulder. This woman sits at my left hand. You speak to her with respect. You look at her with respect. Understood? Marco nodded quickly. Understood, boss. The others followed. Harper's heart hammered. She whispered, You didn't have to. Yes, I did. He leaned close, his breath brushing her ear. You belong here. She shook her head, trembling. No, I don't. He turned slightly, his lips inches from her skin. Say it. What? Say you belong to me. Her pulse roared in her ears. Lorenzo, say it. She looked up at him, voice breaking. I can't. Why not? Because if I say it and you change your mind, I won't survive it. His hand tightened on her shoulder, not possessive, but grounding. You really think I'd change my mind? I think you'll wake up one day and realize you made a mistake. He studied her face, then spoke so quietly only she could hear. Then let me prove you wrong. Her breath caught. You can't. He smiled, slow and dangerous. Watch me. That night, long after the others had gone, Harper lay awake again. The echo of his words circled her mind. Say you belong to me. She hadn't said it, but deep down she knew she already did, and that terrified her more than anything. The mansion felt different the next morning, quieter, heavier. Even the guards moved like they were waiting for something bad to happen. Harper felt it too. Every time she passed one of Lorenzo's men, she caught a look, half curiosity, half disbelief. She tried to keep her head down, to pretend she wasn't the center of whispers. But there was no pretending anymore. Everyone in that house had seen her sitting at the boss's left hand. Lydia found her in the laundry room, folding sheets that didn't need folding. Sweetheart, Lydia said softly, you can't keep hiding in here. I'm not hiding, Harper lied. I'm working. Lydia gave her a look. You think the boss called you his woman in front of half the crew just for show? He didn't mean it like that. Oh, honey, men like him don't say things they don't mean, especially not in public. Harper dropped her gaze. If that's true, then I don't understand any of this. Lydia smiled sadly. Maybe that's the point. Maybe he's trying to make you understand. Upstairs, Lorenzo was in his office, phone pressed to his ear, pacing. Marco stood by the window, arms crossed. Gallagher's getting bold, he said. 2 of our trucks hit last night. Lorenzo's jaw clenched. Anyone hurt? Nothing fatal, but it's a message. He's testing you. Lorenzo ended the call, eyes cold. Then we'll answer. Marco hesitated. Boss, about Harper. Maybe it's not the right time to... Don't finish that sentence, Lorenzo warned quietly. I just mean, people talk. The men, the press, the families. I don't give a damn what they say. Marco sighed. You do realize Gallagher will come for her, right? You made her a target. She's already a target, Lorenzo said. At least now they'll know what happens if they touch her. That evening, Harper was helping set the dining table when Lorenzo came in. Stop that, he said. She blinked. Stop what? Working. You don't work anymore. I need to do something, she said quietly. If I just sit around, people will. Let them talk. His voice softened. You don't owe them anything. He was about to say more when Marco burst in, breathless. Boss, we got a problem. 2 cars at the north gate, armed. Harper froze. What? Go to your room, Lorenzo said instantly. No, she whispered. Harper, he warned, stepping closer. Don't argue with me. Her voice trembled. Is it Gallagher? Probably. He reached for the gun holstered under his jacket. Go, now. She opened her mouth, but the words died at the sound of gunfire. The first shot cracked through the air, followed by the shattering of glass. Harper screamed and dropped behind the table. Guards rushed into the hallway, shouting orders. Lorenzo pulled her up, his arm locking around her waist. Stay with me, he ordered, dragging her toward the corridor. What's happening? She gasped. War. He pushed her into a side room, slamming the door behind them. Stay down. Don't move. Lorenzo. Not a sound. He pressed a finger to her lips. His eyes, hard, furious, protective, met hers for one charged heartbeat. Then he was gone. The gunfire moved through the house like a storm. Harper crouched behind a cabinet, shaking, listening to the chaos outside, the shouts, the crash of furniture, the echo of bullets. She covered her ears, tears streaming down her cheeks. Then the door burst open. A man she didn't recognize stumbled inside, bleeding from the arm, gun in hand. His eyes locked on her. Well, well, he hissed. Pretty little thing. The boss's favorite, huh? Harper's blood went cold. Please. Don't scream, he said, grinning. Just come with me. He'll pay more if you're alive. He grabbed her wrist. She cried out, trying to pull away, but he was stronger. The door behind him swung open again. Lorenzo stood there, silent, deadly. The intruder spun, gun raised, but he never got the chance to fire. Lorenzo moved faster than Harper thought humanly possible. One shot, center mass. The man dropped instantly, gun clattering to the floor. The echo of it hung in the air. Lorenzo's chest heaved, his face a mask of fury. He kicked the gun away and turned to her, his voice low and terrifyingly calm. "You okay?" She nodded shakily, too stunned to speak. He stepped closer, cupping her face with a blood-streaked hand. "Did he touch you?" Her lips parted. He grabbed my wrist." His eyes darkened. "Where?" She showed him. A red mark already bloomed on her skin. Lorenzo's jaw tightened. He looked down at the dead man. "You touch her," he said softly. "You die." He wasn't talking to anyone alive. It was a vow. When the shooting stopped, Marco appeared in the doorway. "Boss, it's over. Gallagher's men are retreating." Lorenzo nodded once. "Clean this up." "Yes, boss." Marco glanced at Harper. "You all right, miss?" She managed a nod, still trembling. "Get her out of here," Lorenzo ordered. "My room, now." Later, when the house was quiet again, Harper sat on the edge of Lorenzo's bed, wrapped in one of his shirts. Her hands wouldn't stop shaking. The night replayed in flashes, the gunfire, the dead man, Lorenzo's voice saying, "You're mine." He came in, shirt torn, a cut across his temple. "You're bleeding," she whispered. "It's nothing." "It's not nothing," she said, standing. "You should sit." He almost smiled. "You giving me orders now?" "Someone has to." He sat on the edge of the bed, letting her dab gently at the wound with a damp cloth. For a moment, the world outside didn't exist, just her hands, his breathing, and the quiet hum of fear fading into relief. When she finished, she whispered, "You could have been killed." He looked up at her. "So could you." "I don't want to be the reason you—" "Stop." His voice softened. "You're not a reason. You're the only thing keeping me from turning into someone I don't recognize." Her eyes filled. "Lorenzo." He took her hand, holding it against his chest. "When I saw that man touch you, something inside me snapped. I've seen war, Harper. I've lost men, blood, money. None of it hit me like that." She swallowed hard. "Why me?" "Because you remind me what I'm still fighting for." She didn't know what to say. The room felt too small, his presence too big. He traced his thumb over her knuckles, slow and tender. "I said you're under my protection," he murmured. "That means no one hurts you, not even me." Her voice shook. "You scared me tonight. I scared myself." Their eyes met, and something fragile passed between them. Not fear this time, but understanding. She leaned forward, resting her forehead against his chest. He held her there, one hand in her hair. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "For what?" "For making you risk your life." He exhaled. "That's what life's for." The next morning, the city was buzzing with headlines. Violence at Moretti Estate. Political heiress expresses concern. Vanessa Pierce's picture was everywhere. Perfect hair, perfect smile. A quote in bold letters beneath her name. "I just hope Lorenzo is safe. As his fiancé, of course, I worry deeply." Harper stared at the article in disbelief. Fiancé. She felt the world tilt. She read the line again, hoping it was wrong. It wasn't. Lydia found her standing in the hall, paper trembling in her hands. "Honey, don't read that trash." She called herself his fiancé. Harper whispered. Lydia sighed. People say things for power, not truth. But he didn't deny it. He hasn't seen it yet. Harper's throat closed. He doesn't need to. That's the kind of woman he's supposed to be with. Lydia frowned. "Where are you going?" Harper was already walking. To make things easier. In Lorenzo's room, she packed the small bag she'd arrived with. She moved quietly, folding clothes, ignoring the shaking in her hands. She found paper on his desk and wrote a note in neat, careful letters. Thank you for letting me feel loved for a little while. But I don't belong in your world. Harper. She placed it on his pillow, right where he'd see it. Then she took one last look around the room, the place that had felt like safety, like danger, like both, and walked out before her heart changed its mind. When Lorenzo came back an hour later, Marco handed him the newspaper. He skimmed the headline once, cursed, and crumpled the page. Fiancé? That woman's insane. Marco hesitated. Boss, there's something else. Lorenzo turned. What? She's gone. What do you mean gone? Harper. The guard saw her leave on foot 20 minutes ago. She didn't take the car. Lorenzo's blood went cold. Find her. Boss, maybe she just needed... Find her. Now. His voice was a snarl. He looked at the note on his pillow and read it once. Then he crushed it in his fist. Outside, Harper walked fast down the narrow streets of Hoboken, head low, rain soaking her hair. She didn't know where she was going, only that she had to leave before her heart pulled her back, before he did. Behind her, black SUVs roared to life. And somewhere in the city, Lorenzo Moretti swore to himself, if Gallagher's men touch her before I find her, there won't be enough graves in New Jersey. Harper didn't make it far. The rain had turned the sidewalk slick, the kind of cold wet that seeped through her jeans and into her bones. She kept her head down and walked fast, arms crossed over her chest like that could make her smaller, less visible, less the boss's weakness. Her bag was light, a few clothes, her ID, $48 in cash. That was it. She hadn't eaten, she hadn't stopped shaking. Lydia had offered her old contacts in Queens. If you ever need to disappear, Lydia had whispered once, I know people. Harper didn't even make it to the train. 2 blocks from the Moretti property, a car that wasn't Moretti security slowed. She felt it before she even turned. Her pulse kicked, her steps sped up. She didn't look. Don't look. Don't run. If you run, you look like prey. The car crept alongside anyway. Then she heard it. A man's voice from the passenger seat, mocking and sweet. Hey, pretty, come here a sec. Her stomach flipped. Harper didn't answer. Don't be rude, sweetheart. The door opened. Shoes hit wet pavement. Your boyfriend Moretti isn't here to babysit you. Her legs went weak. Gallagher. They'd found her in less than half an hour. She didn't even matter in this world, and still, somehow, she was leverage. The panic fully hit, and her throat tightened. She turned and bolted down the alley. Grab her! Then it happened fast. A hand clamped around her arm and yanked her back so hard she stumbled. She twisted, kicked, tried to pull free. Stop fighting, the man hissed into her ear. We're not gonna hurt you. We just want to talk. Your boyfriend's gonna listen real good once he sees you cry on camera. Boyfriend. Her lungs burned. Let go of me. Keep your voice down, he said, or I'll make you. Her heart pounded so loud she couldn't hear the rain anymore. This is what Lorenzo had been talking about. This is why he kept saying, stay where I can see you. She hadn't listened. That was the last thought she had before a black SUV turned into the mouth of the alley and burned the brakes. The doors flew open. Lorenzo was out first. Not a guard, not Marco. Lorenzo, no hesitation, no warning. He didn't shout, drop her. He didn't negotiate. He didn't talk. He just moved. The first man let go of Harper, spinning toward him, but he moved too slow. Lorenzo drove him into the wall with his forearm, and a crack echoed off the brick. The second one reached for something in his jacket, and Lorenzo's gun was already in his face. Do it, Lorenzo said calmly, eyes like ice. Give me a reason. The second man froze. The alley went quiet except for Harper's shaking breath. Lorenzo didn't look away from the men when he spoke. You touch her again and I won't be this kind, understand? This is Gallagher's block, the second man spat. You don't make rules here. Lorenzo smiled without humor. I do now. The man swallowed. Leave, Lorenzo said. Neither of them moved. Lorenzo leaned in just a little. Or do you want me to send Gallagher your teeth in a bag and let him guess which one of you screamed louder? They ran. When they were gone, it was like someone hit pause on the world. Rain pattered. Distant traffic hummed. Harper stood frozen against the wall, shaking, mascara streaked, hair soaked to her cheeks. Lorenzo turned to her. All the violence dropped from his face. "Harper," he breathed. "Harper, look at me." Her chest hitched. "I'm sorry." He stared. "You're... what?" "I shouldn't have left," she whispered. "I thought I'd make it easier for you." She called herself your fiancé. I didn't want to ruin your life." Something dark flickered through his eyes. "Vanessa Pierce?" Harper nodded, throat tight. He exhaled once in disbelief, like he couldn't decide whether to laugh or break something. "You think I give a damn what that woman says to a reporter?" She said fiancé. "Reporters say the Yankees are winning the season every April," he muttered. "Doesn't make it true." Her lip trembled. "You didn't deny it." Lorenzo's jaw clenched. "I was busy cleaning your blood off my floors." That made her go quiet. The anger left his face again, replaced by something raw. He stepped forward slowly, like approaching something breakable. He cupped her face in both hands. "You don't run from me," he said softly. Her eyes filled. "I didn't want to embarrass you." "Embarrass me?" He almost laughed. "Harper, I shut down 3 blocks of traffic looking for you. You think I'm worried about embarrassment?" Her breath caught. "You... what?" "Every crew I own is out here right now," he said, voice low and even. "Every car, every ear, every camera pointing down every alley. You disappear in my city, the city stops moving. That's the level we're at. You understand me?" Her lips parted. "Lorenzo?" "Say yes," he demanded quietly. "Yes," she whispered. His thumb brushed her cheek. "Good girl." Something inside her almost broke at that. But there wasn't time to breathe, because headlights flooded the alley. Another car rolled up fast. Not his, not Marco's. Lorenzo reacted instantly. He pulled Harper in front of him. No. He didn't pull her behind him like a shield. He put himself in front of her. He stepped between her body and the car, chest forward, gun up, fully blocking her from view. Her heart stopped. He was going to take the first shot for her. Her, the maid. The car doors opened. But it wasn't Gallagher's men this time. Bystanders, local guys, people with phones out, recording. Of course, of course. Her stomach twisted. She knew what this would look like. She knew how fast clips spread. "Lorenzo," she whispered urgently, grabbing his sleeve. "People are filming." "Good," he said without turning. "Let them." "Lorenzo?" He didn't lower the gun until he was sure there was no threat. Then finally, he turned back to her. "Are you hurt?" She shook her head. "Did they hit you?" "No." "Did they scare you?" Her voice cracked. "Yes." His jaw tightened. "Then I didn't get here fast enough." Her eyes filled. "You got here. That's what matters." For a moment, he just looked at her, breathing, rain dripping down his jaw, his hair pushed back, his shirt damp and clinging to his chest. People were still watching, some whispering her. Her. She panicked. "They're filming," she whispered, shaking. "Lorenzo, please, people are filming. You can't be seen like this with me. It'll make you look weak. They'll say you..." He didn't let her finish. Lorenzo reached up, took her face in his hands, and spoke loud enough for everyone in that alley to hear. "Listen to me," he said, voice steady and lethal. "You are not the maid. You are not a secret. You are not something I hide. You are the woman I'm going to marry. Do you understand me?" For a second, nobody breathed. Even the rain felt quiet. Harper stopped existing. The world stopped existing. Her voice shook. Don't say that if you don't mean it." He leaned closer. "I don't say things I don't mean." Her throat worked. Tears slid hot over her cheeks, mixing with the rain. "Lorenzo," she whispered, "no one marries a fat girl." Phones were up. People were listening. Witnesses. Proof. 100 eyes. 1,000 more by midnight. Lorenzo didn't lower his voice. "Then we're going to prove them all wrong." Her mouth parted. Her knees almost gave. "Say it back," he demanded, softer now. "Say you're mine." "I can't," she whispered. "Why?" "Because I'll fall apart if you change your mind." He shook his head once. That's not happening. Her chest rose and fell too fast. You can't promise that. I just did. Something inside her cracked wide open. Her hands lifted and gripped his jacket like she needed him to stay standing or she was going to collapse. Her forehead pressed to his chest. He wrapped his arms around her and held her right there in the middle of an alley in the rain, in public, in front of cameras, like she was the only thing that mattered. People had their phones pointed right at them. He didn't care. He angled his body so no one caught her face clearly. He knew exactly how to stand so she'd be protected on video, so she wouldn't be turned into a target. So he took the exposure, not her. That detail alone almost made her cry harder. Listen to me, he said quietly against her hair. You are not leaving me again, you understand? Her voice was small. Yes. You don't walk out of my house? Yes. You don't take one step on these streets without my men on you? Yes. You sleep in my wing, you eat at my table, you sit next to me when I sit down, from now on. Her breath shook. Lorenzo, say it. She swallowed. Okay. He exhaled, slow. Good. Now we go home. Home. The word hit her so hard she couldn't speak for a full second. He didn't release her right away. He pressed his forehead to hers first, eyes closed, breathing her in like he needed to feel her alive. Then he kissed her, not her mouth, her forehead. It was almost worse than a real kiss. Slower, deeper, final, the kind of kiss a man gives a woman he's already decided is his. And the alley, full of strangers with phones, went absolutely silent. Marco's SUV screeched up seconds later. He jumped out, scanning fast. Boss? She's fine, Lorenzo said. Marco let out a breath. Good, because I've got a situation. Lorenzo's eyes narrowed. Who? Press. They're waiting outside the mansion. Somebody tipped them. They're already talking about your mystery girlfriend. Harper went pale. Oh my God. Lorenzo's hand found her waist and stayed there. Let them talk. Boss, Marco said carefully. You know they're going to run that Vanessa Pierce quote next to her face. You want that? Lorenzo smiled, but there was nothing nice in it. No, I want something better. Marco lifted an eyebrow. Yeah? I want every camera pointed at me when I say it, Lorenzo said. And I want you standing there to make sure nobody interrupts. Marco gave a low whistle. So we're doing this. We're doing this, Lorenzo said. He turned to Harper. You're riding with me. Her eyes widened. I can't walk into your house like this. People are they're gonna hear the truth from me, he said. She searched his face. And what is the truth? His gaze didn't move from hers. That you're mine. Her chest tightened. Lorenzo, that I'm going to marry you. Her knees almost gave out. In case there was any confusion, he added quietly. The ride back felt unreal. Harper sat in the passenger seat, still shaking. Lorenzo drove one-handed most of the way, his free hand wrapped around hers. He didn't talk much. He didn't need to. He kept glancing over, like if he blinked too long she might disappear again. When they turned onto the private drive to the mansion, she saw it. Lights, voices, reporters at the gate, cameras up, microphones extended. Her stomach flipped. Lorenzo, I can't do this. Yes, he said calmly. You can. They're going to tear me apart. They're going to call me names. They're going to... Harper. She looked at him. You're under my name now, he said softly. They want to talk about you. They talk about me. They want to disrespect you. They try it through me. And I promise you no one in this city is stupid enough to do that to my face. Her throat worked. Your... name? He squeezed her hand. Yeah. Her pulse kicked. What does that mean? It means, he said, voice low and final, that you're coming home with me as Harper Moretti. Do you understand me? She stared at him. Her entire life, people had made it clear she was the girl you hid. The soft one. The comfort. The secret. And now, Lorenzo Moretti, The man men feared, the name cops watched, the man rich families tried to buy, had just told her, calm and in public, that she was his future. Not a pity choice, not a game, not a body, a future. Her future. Her jaw trembled. Say it again. He didn't blink. You're mine. You belong to me. I will marry you. Tears filled her eyes. And, he added quietly, nobody who matters to me will ever call you the maid again. Her voice cracked. What are they supposed to call me? Lorenzo leaned in, his forehead almost touching hers, his voice so soft it punched straight through her chest. Mrs. Moretti. Her breath caught. And that's the moment she understood. This wasn't protection anymore. This was forever. Outside the windshield, Marco was already out of the SUV, clearing a path, telling reporters they'd get 2 minutes and not 1 second more. The cameras were waiting. The city was watching. Harper felt her pulse in her throat. Lorenzo killed the engine, unbuckled, and turned fully toward her. Last chance, he said quietly. You want to walk in there as mine, you walk in with your chin up. You let them see you. You don't cover yourself. You don't hide. You stand next to me like you belong there. Because you do. Her voice was barely a whisper. And if I can't? He smiled, soft and dangerous. Then I carry you. Something hot and helpless moved through her chest. Her lips trembled. I'll walk. He nodded once, approval flickering in his eyes. Good girl. She inhaled, exhaled. Then Harper Lee Collins reached for the door handle, not as the maid, not as the girl hiding behind an apron, but as the woman the Moretti boss had just promised in public, in front of witnesses, in front of enemies, in front of cameras. And all she could think, as her heart hammered and the flashbulbs popped, was one single question. If he just chose me in front of the world, then what happens next to the people who try to take me from him? The noise outside the mansion was deafening. Flashes, shouts, the hum of live cameras. Harper's fingers trembled in Lorenzo's grip, but his hand was steady, warm, unshakable. He didn't let go. Not when the gates opened. Not when the reporters swarmed. He kept her close, one arm low around her waist, his body a wall between her and every lens. Lorenzo, who is she? Are you confirming the engagement? Is it true you're leaving the business for her? Lorenzo's expression didn't change. He led her up the stone steps, paused at the top, and turned toward the crowd. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. The tone alone silenced them. This is Harper Collins, he said evenly. You want to know who she is to me? She's the reason I still have a soul left to save. The cameras clicked like gunfire. You can call her whatever you want, he went on, eyes dark and steady. But when you speak about her, remember one thing. You're talking about my future wife. 1,000 questions flew at once. He ignored them, opened the door, and ushered her inside. The door slammed. Silence. The air in the entryway was thick, leather, rain, adrenaline. Harper's breath came uneven, her chest tight. Lorenzo, what did you just do? He turned toward her, voice calm. Told the truth. They'll never stop now, she whispered. The press, your enemies, they already didn't stop. He stepped closer. Now they'll think twice before they touch what's mine. Her pulse raced. You can't protect me from everything. He smiled faintly. Watch me. He led her upstairs, past the eyes of stunned guards and speechless staff. Everyone stood as they passed. No one spoke. By the time they reached the West Wing, she could hardly breathe. In his room, he stopped, closing the door behind them. Sit, he said gently. She did. He loosened his tie, shrugged off his jacket, and tossed it aside. His movements were quiet, deliberate. When he finally looked at her again, the danger was gone. Only something raw remained, tired, human, unguarded. Vanessa Pierce, he said, breaking the silence. That whole story started years ago. It wasn't love. It was leverage. She frowned. Leverage. The Pierces own half the politicians in Jersey. Her father wanted access to my shipping routes. They thought an engagement would make me respectable. His mouth twitched. I agreed to a few dinners. They took photos. I walked away before it got to rings. And you never corrected them? He sighed. I had bigger fires to put out. Until you. Until me, she echoed softly. Until you walked into my kitchen and called yourself unworthy. He came closer, kneeling in front of her. You don't get to say that anymore. Her throat tightened. I didn't mean. Yes, you did. His hands rested lightly on her knees. And I believed every word you said that night. I believed it because the world made you believe it. And I hate that. Tears welled in her eyes. You don't have to fix me. He smiled faintly. I'm not trying to fix you. I'm trying to keep you. He stood and reached for a small black velvet box from the dresser. Harper froze. Lorenzo. He opened it. Inside, a simple gold band. No diamonds, no flash, just solid, bright, permanent. This was supposed to be a business gesture, he said quietly. Proof of loyalty. I changed my mind. He took her hand, the same hand that had once scrubbed his floors, and slid the ring onto her finger. It fit perfectly. Now, he murmured, the next time someone asks who you are, you say, Mrs. Moretti. Her voice cracked. You're serious. I've never been more serious about anything in my life. Tears spilled down her cheeks. I don't even know how to live in your world. You don't have to, he said. We'll build our own. That night, the mansion went quiet early. The guards outside were doubled. The city, for once, stayed calm. Harper stood by the window in his shirt, watching the lights from across the river, when Lorenzo came up behind her. He rested his hands on her shoulders, thumbs brushing her collarbone. You're still shaking. I'm not used to people watching me. They'll stop when they realize you're not leaving. And if they don't? He leaned down, voice low against her ear. Then they'll learn I meant what I said. She turned. And what was that exactly? That no one touches my wife. Her breath caught. He said it like a vow, like a truth already written. She whispered, I don't want to be your weakness. He cupped her face, eyes soft but unrelenting. You're not my weakness, Harper. You're my reason. The rest of the world fell away. He kissed her then, not tentative, not demanding, but slow and real and absolute. The kind of kiss that changes gravity. The kind that made her forget every cruel word she'd ever believed about herself. When she finally pulled back, trembling, he rested his forehead against hers. You okay? She smiled through her tears. More than okay. He smiled back. Good. Because tomorrow, Marco's arranging a press statement. Her eyes widened. You're telling them everything? Not everything, he said. Just enough. Enough for what? He traced the ring on her finger with his thumb. Enough so nobody ever questions what you mean to me again. The next afternoon, the Moretti estate gates opened for the cameras one last time. Lorenzo stood outside, crisp suit, sunglasses on. Harper beside him, chin high, heart pounding so hard she could feel it in her fingertips. The reporters shouted questions. He answered one. Only one. You all wrote about my crimes, Lorenzo said calmly. Write this too. The boss is married, and he's happy. Then he turned, slid his hand down Harper's back, and kissed her in front of everyone. It wasn't scandalous. It wasn't staged. It was real. A man who had built his empire on fear finally showing the world what he wasn't afraid of anymore. Her. Hours later, when the cameras were gone and the house was quiet again, Harper stood on the balcony, watching the skyline flicker. She still couldn't believe it, all of it. Lorenzo came up behind her, wrapping his arms around her waist. Penny for your thoughts. She smiled. You can't buy them. They're too expensive. He chuckled. I can afford you. She looked down at her ring, glinting in the moonlight. So this is real? He kissed her temple. As real as it gets. She hesitated. You ever regret anything? He thought for a second. Only one thing. What? That I didn't meet you sooner. Her chest ached in the best way. You know, she whispered, when I first came here I thought you'd fire me. Why? Because I broke a glass. He smiled. You broke a lot more than that. What do you mean? You broke every rule I made to keep people out. She turned in his arms, smiling softly. And you broke every wall I built to keep people away. He brushed a thumb down her cheek. Then I guess we're even. For a moment they just looked at each other, the maid and the Mafia boss, the impossible and the inevitable. She said quietly, half teasing, "No one marries a fat girl, sir." He smiled, eyes gleaming. "Correct. No one, except me." He kissed her again, slow and certain. And this time she kissed him back without fear. Outside, the city kept moving. The same cruel, restless, beautiful city that had never cared for soft things. But inside the Moretti mansion, softness had finally won. Because Harper Lee Collins had become Mrs. Moretti, and for once in the life of a man who'd spent years surrounded by violence and lies, something pure had survived, something real, love. If you enjoy stories like this, take a moment to subscribe to the channel. That's how I'll know you truly liked it. Even if you're watching on your TV, grab a second to join this family of fans who love emotional and heartfelt stories. Your support means everything, and it helps us bring you even more tales like this one.